about a successful person, what we usually imagine ourselves. Probably somebody very extroverted, somebody who can put themselves out there. However, according to the statistic, 30 to 40% of population are introverts. So it is every third or fourth person. And if you consider yourself to be an extrovert, look around or remember your team members, and you probably will find one. And the society is actually trying to change the behavior of introverts. And quite a lot of introverts are following that. However, along the whole thread of communication, we might lose talents of introverts. For example, when we imagine ourselves as CEO of a big corporation, we also probably imagine ourselves somebody very charismatic, a social person that tries to network, build relationships. However, a 10-year study, CEO Genome Project, conducted by GH Smart, revealed that introverts are more likely to surpass expectations of the board or investors. And it's not because introverts are better than extroverts or vice versa. It's just certain qualities and talents of introverts, like listening more. And if we think about famous people, there are quite a lot of introverts. For example, Oprah, very powerful woman, one of the most influential women in the world. She has more than 37,000 interviews in her portfolio, and yet she's an introvert. In her interview in 2018, she revealed that during the party dinners, she has to retreat to the toilet in order to recover herself, recharge, to continue communicate. That was very surprising to me when I found out. And Steve Wozniak, genius engineer, he created the Apple One in the garage, and he is introvert too. And yes, the biggest gain the company gained when he met Steve Jobs, salesman. And this is an example where combining assets of an introvert and extrovert can bring the company to a big success. So one of the teams that I mentioned before was a greenfield project. We didn't know each other before. Nobody had been communicating before work together. And all engineers on the team were very bright, very experienced people, very outgoing. And we have been working with a team of designers and researchers. And while they were preparing their part and handing over the information to us, we had time to gather together, set our heads, think about an architecture, testing approaches, and so on. So we had quite a lot of meetings. And everyone had an idea. Everyone were very eager to share ideas. And I really liked it at the beginning. I was like, oh my God, this is so great. There are so many ideas, there are so many diversions. This is super. However, it led to countless meetings. We have been discussing and discussing. It was hard to come to one conclusion. Sometimes it felt like we were discussing for the sake of the discussion. And even though it was quite frustrating at the beginning. Analyzing the situation really helped me to improve my work and myself and start researching the way I can help the team and first of all myself to be comfortable. And I would like to share with you some of my findings. Some of them might be quite obvious, but it is impressive how implementing all of them, or majority of them, can help the atmosphere on the team. So the key to make an introvert contribute is to help an introvert feel comfortable. So how can we do that? As putting an introvert on a spotlight might throw them under the bus or really frighten, asking to contribute in advance may help to get their thoughts together, think about in the best environment they can, what they want to talk on the meeting, and to basically build the courage to speak up. Sending an agenda before the meeting. This is quite an obvious thing to do, but not many people do that. Not many teams follow this rule. And this is also the tool to help an introvert to think in advance what they want to say. As a lot of meetings might be quite tiring and trigger an anxiety for an introvert, sometimes swapping discussions, like architectural discussions, with an open board discussion can help in several ways. First, again, give the time and the best atmosphere for an introvert to contribute. Second, the person doesn't need to feel like they're on the stage. Because sometimes when you speak in front of the team, it feels like you're in light and you have to speak in front of like a big audience. So the open board discussion can eliminate this pressure. And third, sometimes it's hard to find the time to speak up. So especially when it's very engaged discussion, people want to contribute a lot, you feel uncomfortable to interrupt them. It's not very nice. And you find yourself sometimes at the end of the meeting when quality is passed already. So in this case, with a shared board, an introvert doesn't have to wait for that time. They can think through what they want to say and put the ticket whenever they want to, wherever they want to. So make some discussions asynchronous, especially for the most complicated discussions. Use your weapon, be it Slack, Miro, any other open boards, conferences, wherever you are comfortable. Pairing. I am really fond of pairing, really like that. And it's not because it's the best way to share the idea. It's also a tool to build personal relationships between people. And in smaller groups, it's easier to discuss some ideas, especially if you move pairs quite often. And I know that pairing online in a remote world is harder, it is more tiring, but you don't have to pair the whole day or don't pair at all. There shouldn't be like black and white. You can do ad hoc pairing, half a day pairing, whatever suits you. And in this way, you can persuade an introvert to pair because they're going to be probably the most reluctant to do so. It's in their own interest. Always nominate a facilitator. This is the tool to have one responsible person to manage the flow of the meeting. So the responsibility of a facilitator would be to ask if everyone has contributed before switching to a new topic, or to check that the team is following rules that they agreed to. As I said before, sometimes it is hard to get your place during the meetings for an introvert. So writing it down would be a good practice for everyone who wants to say something. So basically saying, hey, I'm here, pay attention to me. However, it only will work when the right hand is respected. So I have been on the team where we had such rule. However, everyone was so excited to share their ideas that the right hand hasn't been respected. So the person was still left till the end of the meeting. And in this case, a facilitator can be handy to manage that. And as now the COVID restrictions are mostly lifted, we start coming back to the offices, but not everyone do so. So sometimes we end up in a mixed environment where a couple of people still connect online. And it is feel quite lonely when you connect online and there is a group of people in the office connected with only one mic discussing an interesting topic, and you feel very abandoned and sometimes forgotten. So in this case, make a rule: if one person is remote, everyone are remote. So open your laptop, connect with the video, and please mute the mic, otherwise the conversation may be a mess. So introvert is a person who feel most productive and recharged when they're alone or in a smaller group of people. So allocating those tranquility times might be helpful for the introvert to do their work at their best. So in one of my teams, we literally booked half a day, twice a week, as a meeting called busy. So nobody could organize another meeting or a serious discussion during that time. And when I felt the most shy and not searching for communication, I really appreciated when tech leads, developer leads, or any other teammate coming to me and asking my opinion privately in a smaller group of people. It was really helpful. So if you feel that somebody needs a help, ask them privately. They will really appreciate it. However, it's not only about the introvert and extrovert personalities. Sometimes very shy, weirdly shy people on the team that do not like to communicate at all or share their ideas can be a sign of a bad culture. Because in the environment, when all mistakes are highlighted, their ideas are criticized, it is very hard for everyone, not just a shy person, to contribute. So let's imagine a team of a delivery, junior, experienced person, shy teammate, and a lazy one that constantly is lacking. And a delivery lead doesn't really know about any issues that the psychologically unsafe environment might cause. What will happen with each member of the team? Will experienced person like that if maybe another company would pay more and have a better environment? Will lazy person be motivated to change the pattern? Probably not. And junior, will they develop themselves? Probably not, because they will be afraid of making a mistake and stepping out of their borders because they will be punished. And without making a mistake or trying something new, we're not developing ourselves as fast. And a shy person, probably a shy person will suffer the most. They probably will stop contributing at all, in even highlighting the potential consequences or questions. They're not going to do it. And that's where the whole team might lose. So the no blame culture, as was mentioned before, no blame culture originated in the organizations where even small errors might cause a catastrophic event. And we're talking about airplanes, hospitals, submarines. So because every mistake might be disastrous, operating in the environment where employees are afraid to report about their mistakes or raise potential concern is simply dangerous. So such environments, such organizations, trying to focus on what happened and what can be done to eliminate the problem, rather than who is responsible and whom to blame. And they try to propagate open discussions, agile approach, and trust. So the base of such organizations is trust. The low level of trust leads to conflicts, leads to defensive approach, communication, competition, and thus it is causing low speed of the development and a high cost. For example, before 11 September, the flights were pretty easy. The boarding of the flight was pretty quick. It's mostly was abnormality. However, after this catastrophic event, people lost the trust to airplanes and flights. So the airports had to introduce a new level of security. And now we have to come an hour or two in advance, do lots of checks, go through the security. Sometimes in more dangerous areas, security are even stricter. I remember when I was flying in Turkey, in a big hub where everyone was flying from everywhere, I had to go through 3 security checks of the body and my items in order to get to the waiting area. That's a little bit crazy, in my opinion. But they had to do that. And we're not paying only with the time, we have to pay extra charge for our tickets because it needs to cover the security measures. So without trust, we pay more with the time and with money. And with a high level of trust, the communication in the team is better, employees are more relaxed, they are more willing to contribute, raise questions, and they're not afraid of conflict. So, what can be done if you have suspected that there is a problem on the team? You can start with running psychological survey, and it is a simple process. You can hire a company for that. You can do it yourself, but it's important to do it anonymously. And you can ask simple questions like, do you trust your team members? Do you like the environment? Would you suggest anyone to join your team? And it's important to run the survey in the time, so your data is not just about 1 bad month for everyone. And if you saw that there is something wrong, run a psychological retrospective. It's also important to do it anonymously. There are a couple of tools in the internet. The one that we used was Retroing. It is a good tool. It is giving you an opportunity to run Retro anonymously, and moreover, to hide those secrets during the brainstorming. So it is very independent. And psychological retrospective, it's not only the tool to find out what is wrong, it's also to validate that you're not the only one on the team that feels this way. So when we run them on our team, it really helped me, first of all, to understand that I'm not the only one feeling shy or feel uncomfortable to share my ideas. And you don't have to only share what you feel on the retrospective. You also can share ideas, what can be done to improve even better, if you think everything is fine. And in extroverts, we really encourage teams to do team charter. So the goal of the team charter is to define principles and objectives to manage expectations of the team. It is always helpful to have the rules that the whole team is working towards together. And you can run the session, document everything, so everyone on the same page and sharing the vision. And you can ask yourself several questions. For example, team-specific principles. What are core hours? What are we running? Scrum, Kanban, our pairing? How often are we swapping pairs? What are the regular ceremonies? Are we doing stand-ups? Are we doing retrospectives? Do we like retrospectives? Do we want to just eliminate them? How will we make the decision? Do we want three amigos? Do we have a business person who is saying their last word? How will we collaborate as a team? What tools are we going to use? Are we going to use Slack? Are we going to do meetings somewhere else? In the Zoom, where the most information is going to be stored. And how are we going to do planning and prioritization? Do we need everyone on the team to have a word? Are we going to do backlog refinements or planning sessions? Before, I was joining quite classic teams where we had stand-ups. In the spring, we had backlog refinement, planning, retrospective. Depending on the team, we had retrospective either quite often when we were more like greenfield project, just starting, or we had more like once a month or once there is a concern retrospectives. And now I have joined the team where we only have stand-ups and no other ceremonies. And it was quite weird in the beginning, like where's the overview? How are we collaborating? But all meetings are happening only with people who are directly involved in the story or making the decision. And this works too for some teams. So you need to find your set of rules and your formula. And once you document everything, it is easier for the whole team to be on board. And when there is a new joiner coming, they don't have to run around, ask different people, what does this mean? What I need to do? They have everything settled, and they can just read the page. So if you realize that there is a problem with the trust in your team, and you want to improve it, you can run a couple couple of exercises, and I took two exercises from the book called Five Dysfunctions of a Team, and I really encourage everyone to read it. It's a very interesting book, very easy to read. And the first exercise, called Personal Stories. This is a simple exercise and involves teammates to sit in a round table and answer a list of questions, personal questions. It doesn't have to be very sensitive. It can be about the hobbies, about the family, or your first job, your worst job, the worst team you had, anything that opens you up. And answering those harmless questions, people really open up, and teammates start knowing each other and relate to each other as just human beings with a background, with funny stories. Maybe some people will find themselves in other stories. And this is encouraging the empathy and understanding of each other. Because, to be honest, it's surprising how little sometimes we know about each other as personalities, rather than professionals. Second exercise is a team effectiveness exercise, which is slightly more challenging, but still very manageable. It involves for each team member to say what one most important contributions each of their peers do for the team, and one area that that person have to either improve or eliminate for the better good of the team, and so on around the table. You can start with the tactic team lead or the most outgoing person if it's needed. And it might sound quite challenging if you have issues with the trust at the beginning, but it is actually a manageable exercise, and you'll be surprised how much information, even in the most broken team, you can find in just 1 hour. No retro. This is another exercise for people who hate retros or official part of it, and who don't really open themselves up in retros. You don't have to do it very formally. You can just do it over a cup of tea or drinks and discuss whatever you think is important on the team. Or just do a team building event. And it's quite important to invest in team building event, because it's also showing your teammates as just human beings. Having a session of good laughter is always helping with that. And I have shown a couple of resources. You can search your own ones. You can take mine. For example, Scribble. It's funding where a person is given a word and they need to draw that word, and other teammates need to guess what this word means. And it is a lot of fun, especially if nobody knows how to draw. This is one of the best sessions for us. Jackboard games. This is a paid version, but it is boxes of different games with a good graphics. They have limits for amount of people they can use, but they have a big variation of games, which is really good fun. And if you like escape rooms, I also have an option for online version. And adult apples, if you like Cards Against Humanity, this is going to be for you. It's done for mobiles. And if you feel shy, you need to know is absolutely fine. It is very normal to be shy in certain situations. There is nothing wrong with you. And this is important to remember. I wish somebody told me at the beginning of the pandemic. And I assume you can actually want to change that, your feelings and your contributions. So start with thinking, are you actually an introvert, a person who likes to work by themselves or in a small group of people? Or you're a shy person and something in the team really triggers your action. So if you think that you're actually shy, think what is triggering it. Is it somebody saying you something? Is it a particular person that calls you work? Or, I don't know, saying something? And what are you exactly thinking about it? Are you angry and you're trying to suppress the feelings? Or it is triggering something and you just don't want to communicate with anyone? And try to be sure if it is really a person who doesn't know how to communicate, or it is something in you that is touched and the person didn't really mean anything. And if you think it's a particular teammate that you have problems with, one of the tools that really helped me is to ask a feedback. And not from everyone on the team, which is also useful, but for other reasons. Ask the feedback from the person that you are most uncomfortable. And try to do it in a hamburger version. So, what is in my life you really value? What I can improve and address? And what I should keep doing? In this case, you come to a person and you open yourself in front of them, and they probably feel better because you're asking their opinion. But also, they will focus on the certain points, and they will have to think what you're doing good. And in this feedback, you might be surprised to see the situation from another perspective, from the perspective of that person. And this alone can help you with improving the situation and the communication and probably your approach. Maybe you'll find out that this person really loves you, or it's just, I don't know, you feel so insecure and it's fine. And in the situations that I discussed before, when you didn't have a chance to talk on the meetings, when you feel uncomfortable to interrupt, it's okay to come back to your points later on. It's okay to say at the end of the session, hey, we discussed X, Y, Z, I have an idea, or you have been asking about this thing. And if you're still uncomfortable on the meeting, you can start raising the question in Slack. This is absolutely okay to come back to your ideas and thoughts later on after the meeting. And that's also important to remember. And if you want to change something on the team or on the meetings, try to mirror the behavior of people that you like or what you want to have be changed. Find, for example, an ally on the team that you are more comfortable with. You probably have one. If you don't have such a person, then probably you're in a very wrong place. And try to talk with them in a more private manner, discussing if they validate your ideas, or maybe they can help you to build like critical mass to start changes on the team, to run retrospectives if you don't feel comfortable to do it yourself. And if you're concerned that people in the team don't consider yourself to be serious or something like that, try to speak lower and with a lower voice. That might help. And to sum up, I would like to say spot an introvert or a shy person on your team and try to help them to feel a bit more comfortable. Try to understand if what happening is a personality or there is a bigger problem of their non-safe, psychologically safe environment, or there are some tensions, and try to improve it. And if you feel shy, first of all, this is okay, that's important to remember. And try to understand the reason why you feel so, why are you reluctant to contribute. And this would be the first step to make the change on the team. So let's make our teams even more productive. Thank you.